Well, it's great to be here today. Obviously, the first one of the year for me. I would be wrong if I didn't come out and say thank you to our staff. Obviously, Gary McPeak, who took over for the 2 weeks that I was gone, and the great job he did, and then the great job that Andy Richmond, Jake Johnson, and Kevin McKeithen did in preparing the team and having them ready for both games, both Eastern Michigan and Bowling Green State. It was awesome for me to get released Friday before the Bowling Green State game. I had the opportunity to drive up with a friend of mine from here in town, meet the team, and be with the team all weekend. And then for us to go out and play the way we played on Saturday, both the ebb and flow of the game, getting behind early, coming and taking the lead and going up by 2 scores, and then them coming back and putting it into overtime, or going up a score, and then us putting it into overtime, and then 7 overtimes was a great test for my heart and everything. So feel like I'm ready to go now. And so looking forward to this week against Charleston Southern, who's a really good football team. They played some really good opponents in Western Carolina and North Carolina State. So they'll be coming in here ready to get after us. So we have to prepare well all week. With that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Coach, in football, you have ebbs and flows, but usually not that quickly in the new overtime rules where one play here, one play here. 2 questions. Have you been through something like that recently? And do you like the fact overtime rules are the way they are now?
You know, I've got to the point in an overtime where we had to go for the 2 points, but it was just one time. And we were fortunate enough to win that game too. So hadn't gotten to that many, which was, it was almost like practice at some points, because you're just sitting there going, you go through, you come in with probably 4 or 5 2-point plays, and you've got to use 6 of them. So you're going through everything you can go through. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, that was a 4.5 hour long game. And if we would have done regular overtimes, that might have been a 6-hour game, or 5.5 hour game. And I just don't know if that's fair for the kids, fair for, the people involved, because, that's a stress on the, and a strain on the body and on the mind that, these young men got a lot going on. Then we had to jump on a bus and drive all the way back. So I'm okay with the rules. Obviously, it could have went the other way against us, and we had opportunities that could have put us on the losing end. But right now, unless I hear anything better, I like these better than going full set, from the 25-yard line and being able to get 3 first downs potentially and things like that, and running through all that. I think it's better for the young men.
Coach, I got a couple of questions too. First one, do you think that these first 2 weeks and the long trip up there, back home, and the long game, obviously last week, will have any kind of lingering effect as you all play your first home game this week?
It shouldn't. We took off all day Sunday. They got rest. I think the buses rolled in here about 2:00. Saturday night for a young college student at 2:00 in the morning is not, it's probably a norm more than a not norm. So, I think the overtimes and the amount we played there might have a little to do with it. And we'll make sure that we prepare the right way to make sure that they're fresh and ready to go. But, two road games and then coming home and you split the 2 road games, against 2 MAC schools. I think the city of Richmond ought to be juiced. I think the school EKU ought to be juiced, and I think our fans ought to be juiced. So our players better be juiced to come out and perform the way they should perform, and play the way they should play.
Well, that kind of goes into my next question. You had your own segment on Sports Center. Obviously, social media just going crazy with the hype around this game, the win, first FBS win since 2014. It seems like the hype around this program has not been this high in a long time. I know the season hasn't really started the way you would have envisioned it, but is this something that, coming into the season that you guys were expecting coming into the first home game?
Yes. I mean, we, we don't just say it, we mean it. Expect to win is something that is ingrained in the football program around here and has been since Coach Kidd. And so, that's something that we believe we have to do. We saw those two games on the schedule, and quite frankly, we're a little disappointed we're not 2-0 to be coming in here. And but we're 1-1, and it was a hard fought 1-1. I think that puts us battle tested for the rest of the run. But no, we're where we think we could be, could have been. And college football, you never know. There's so many good players out there, so many things that factor into it. But coming into the first home game 1-1 is something that was a goal and a challenge for us. We were able to do that, and we've got to forget that though. That one was done yesterday at 2:00 at the meeting, and as good of a victory as it was, it only counts as one, and we have to move forward from it, and maintain our core values that we believe in, which is consistency and performance and being the best version of ourselves. And it's something that we have to make sure that we maintain so that we don't fall into a slippery slope of living in the past and letting the team come in here and take something from us.
It's good to hear from you. Glad you're doing well.
Thank you.
I guess for you, just how are you feeling, and how are you just kind of chomping on the bit to get back on the sidelines?
Well, I feel, other than, I've got a couple of broken ribs and a cracked sternum, which is I'm thankful for. I feel really good. The doctors at UK did an amazing job, and I've got to thank our trainers, Kristen Peterson and Big Josh and the guys and Kay and all them. Thomas Bowling was the one who actually found me in my office, and, for them to act the way they acted and reacted, I should say, and went to work quickly on me was phenomenal. And then got up to UK, got everything squared away. Looked bleak for a while. The good news for me is I don't remember much of it. The bad news for my wife and kids and close friends and those people that were involved, they remember every bit of it. And so it's been a interesting road. Woke up Tuesday morning and didn't realize what was going on too much, and then figured it all out. And by Thursday I was here, and Friday the team was gone, got to watch them and my son play on TV. And then next thing you know, I'm in the office on Saturday. And so it's been that kind of a turnaround for me. And then last week I was at practice and got the chance to observe practice all week. And so it's been good. It's been a really amazing, the doctors and the good Lord above is taking good care of me, and my wife, I give all the credit to her and my kids. They, it's been really overwhelming. I just got off the phone with 3 people this morning, just talking about everything, and the overwhelming response from everybody, from the whole staff at UK sent me stuff. Everybody in this town sent me stuff. Just people all over the nation reaching out. It's really blown me away. And it's really touched my heart. But I feel fine. I'm chomping at the bits to get back. We got back at practice yesterday, and we'll be back today, and looking forward to being on the sidelines again on this Saturday.
The resiliency of your ball club in the situation where you have to score on the last play of the game and then, go through all of that. What's your message to the team in a moment like that, where you always preach, you play the next play, all the cliches you can come up with, but they all come true in one game?
I think that's the beauty of it, Brian. It all does come true. I mean, we talk about, play each play as a life of its own. And, you look at the last play of the game, win or go home. Win or go home. And there's no bigger definition in that. And those 2 young men made a play. You look at it's, we get the phantom pass interference call and offensive pass interference call, which is, something that they call all the time in college football, right? But they called it. And so we're on the 17, 18-yard line, and with one play. No sweat. Go in there. Parker and Jaden just figure it out and score. You know, Andy had a great call and worked out great. So I think that's helps us establish the culture we're trying to establish, which is play like a life of his own, be the best version of yourself and the most consistent version of yourself. You know, all those things, like you said, are cliche, but they work. And in that game, we saw every bit of it come to light.
Coach, offensively, you know, the numbers have been really good these first two games. But defensively and playing against the FBS school, a little bit of a bigger challenge. But how can you correct some of the things that you have seen defensively as you all come into the first home game this week?
Well, I think, first of all, you saw improvement from week 1 to week 2 in our defense, especially in our inside linebacker play. I was not very happy with that last week, or the first week, excuse me. And so I think as they approach practice, as they did things, they've got better and better and played the run a lot better. The biggest thing we've got is we've got a lot of new parts, except for in our front seven. We've got a lot of new parts in our secondary. And so that leaves, you know, some communication that we've got to continue to work on and clean up. We've got to understand the scheme and the checks that come in the scheme and continue to do that, because we're leaving too many holes in our secondary. And so we have to make sure that we're continuing to reps. Reps are the biggest teacher. Make sure we've got the right people in there that are making the right checks and the right calls and being in the right position, and then let them play. And you know, it's been challenging at times, but our defense has gotten better. You saw last week they scored, which was huge for us. I mean, you know, it was huge for us to get that. You know, I know it was a snap over the head, but they still scored on it. Several times in the run game, they knocked them back. I mean, our D-line's playing really, really well. And I think our inside linebackers came around to play, and our outside linebackers are playing well. So I think our secondary will continue to get better. We're talented. We just got to continue to get the experience and understand what we're doing to become a better defense.
Hey, Walt, I'm glad you're doing well, and prayers for you and your family continually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The question is, you know, what does it mean to have a coaching staff and players that are prepared to go into those first two games with you not being there? That means a lot to you in the program, and it also speaks for what you have around you.
No, it's no question. I mean, I'm blessed. You know, from Gary McPeak, who's chief of staff, all the way down to whoever, you know, somebody might consider the lowest. We don't consider them that way. We just consider them, that's their jobs. You know, our three coordinators do an outstanding job, and I can't say it enough. Andy Richmond, Jake Johnson, and Kevin McKeith, and all lead their 3 phases of the game, you know, during the game week. And it's the culture we want to build. And I think I said it after the game. You know, it doesn't matter if the head coach is not around. Everybody understands what the culture is and what we're trying to accomplish. So go execute it. And it also tells you that we don't have a lot of egos on this staff, because there wasn't a lot of bickering, a lot of people wanting to do this, that, and the other. It was everybody pitch in. How can we win these games? How can we, you know, do what we were talking about all summer, all spring, all winter? How can we do that? And they went out and executed that. And it just goes to show you. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, and, you know, when coaches miss, if the culture's right, it should keep going. It should keep, you know, traveling along, just like when players miss. If you've recruited well, you should have a player to come in and play behind that guy. And so it speaks a lot to those men, every one of them, every coach on this staff, every support member of this staff, our administration. We just kept plugging right along, and I'm really proud of that.
We had a question submitted due to audio issues, but can you address sort of the comfort level that you had with Gary McPeak stepping in as acting head coach for these first 2 weeks of the season, just your comfort level with him in that role?
Oh, I mean, I was very comfortable, and you know, I think it was the right choice. I think it was. Me and Matt talked about it in the hospital. I think it was the choice that was needed at the time, because, you know, the offense and defensive coordinators need to go run the offense and defense, and, you know, the first time to do all the head coaching duties may not be in that situation, you know, and it's kind of like I says, you know, I survived here, guys. So, you know, I'm going to be back. So let's make sure we don't, you know, mess the kids up and get everything going in the right direction. Make sure we're prepared both, schematically and technique wise for these two games, or however many games it was going to be. We didn't know at the time. And let's, Gary's the guy that can go in front of the team, and Gary's the guy that can do all those things. And so, it was the easy choice for me. It was the easy choice for Matt. And that's no disrespect to anybody else. It's just what was needed at the time. And he did a great job for us, and always be thankful for that.
Two quick questions. At the end of regulation, you've got one of the best kickers in the country, but the rule book says win on the road, go for the win if you can. And secondly, have you ever had a defensive player be named defensive player of the week in a game that had more than 110 points?
Well, with the second one, I will say Chase deserves it. He played lights out. Got hurt, came back in, played marked improved from the week before, set some tones and did some really good tackling for us on defense. And so I was really, really pleased to see Chase get those awards. Really kind of shocked Parker didn't get any, to be honest with you, but that's I guess, everybody gets a trophy now, but glad to see Chase get the recognition that he deserves. And, I felt like, that when you're on the road like that, and I understand what everybody thinks, but I thought we could win the game. I felt like we could win the game in as many overtime. I felt we were as good as them. And me and Gary talked about it. And, I thought kicking the extra points were smart, because we were going to have to go for two eventually, right? So might as well go that away and do it all. And that's just the thought process we had. So I think it worked out well for us. And I agree. I think our team was the better team that day. And I knew we could outlast them through our training, through our conditioning, everything that Billy Brown has put us through in the strength and conditioning department. That's one guy that doesn't get enough credit for this success, is Billy, because we come out of that game very healthy, which is rare for a 7 overtime game, I would assume. So there hadn't been many, so it's hard to do the study. It shouldn't take long to do it, but there hadn't been many.
Coach, after the cardiac episode, did you expect to be back this quick, or how has that kind of transformed in the last couple of weeks as you now make your way back?
Well, I expected to be. I don't know if the doctors were going to let me or not, but I'll be honest with you, Mike, I don't remember anything. The last thing I remember is trying to get a box to send something to my mother. And the next thing I know, I wake up on Tuesday morning. And so, it was definitely a different episode. I had 99% blockage of the Widowmaker. And so I had no clue what it was going to be about. I'm a product of my family has heart disease in it. My father had 2 bypass surgeries and then died of his 3rd heart attack. And my brother's already had one in his 40s. And so, looked down at my chest and didn't see a scar. So I was wondering what was going on, but with everything else being okay and the Widowmaker's the only thing that needed to be fixed, they went up through my arm and through my groin and got the things done. And so, I'm blessed. I'm pleased. I'm happy to be back. I was talking to somebody this morning and they were just, I'm glad I'm talking to you. And I'm like, yeah, me too. It's those things you don't take for granted as much anymore. But no, I probably wasn't expecting to be back that quick. But when they released me is when I kind of thought that, because they didn't give me any restrictions. They said, other than you can't lift something over 10 pounds. And I was like, well, I don't do that anyway, so I'm good, and so was very pleased with the healing process so far. Like I said, the hardest thing to get over is the broken ribs and the broken sternum, and I'm very thankful that they did that because it saved my life.
What goes through your mind when you see this chance to tie the game, but then when you get into the overtimes, you have no input on the game whatsoever?
I think for the tying kick to go into overtime, I think my main focus is just get it through, just however possible I can. And then, when it gets to the point, I think after the second overtime where, my job's done, I think I can sit back and just, really cheer on the team and just try and encourage everybody and do, everything that I can that way to, help the team pull through for a win because, obviously I can't do anything else after that. And I just try and help any way I can.
Patrick, obviously, you guys are doing your thing with Coach McPeak, but to have Coach Wells back is obviously got to be a great relief. And I guess what were those, couple weeks without him, wondering when he'd get back on the sidelines? I guess how could you kind of just walk us through everything, just up and down?
Yeah, I think we all knew he was going to come back like quick because that's just how he is. Like he's not going to be away from this program and away from the team, any longer than he has to be. So we knew he was definitely coming back at a quicker pace than probably everybody else expected. But it was great to have him back. All the guys were juiced up about it. Seeing him come out on the sideline this past Saturday, it was a really emotional moment just to see him walk out there and just to be able to do what he loves to do.
Patrick, the excitement around this program was already, huge coming into the season. Then we see, this game really elevating that, ticket sales and everything else going up. But talk about the excitement, being on campus. What's it like up there right now? And with you and the team, what are you guys talking about as you see, all the social media buzz, being on Sports Center, everything like that? What are you guys talking about, be off the field as you guys kind of just look back and see how everything's unfolded?
I mean, it was a great win. And like, we look back at it and we're, more than happy to come out with the way that the game came out. But I think we've really transitioned well to focus on Charleston Southern and to focus on that game plan. But I mean, as far as, ticket sales and the campus and the city of Richmond, I think everybody's, really excited and everybody's going to come out hopefully, and we're going to have a great attendance.
Patrick, in terms of, just the game overall, and obviously you want to move on to Charleston Southern, but just talk about the resiliency that your team had to have. I mean, 7 overtimes, I can assume that you've never been a part of something like that. And for a game to go that long, I mean, 4.5 hours. I mean, when you see the stands starting to clear out and, people I feel like at the end, there were a couple people in the stands that were hugging and cheering, not because you guys won, but because the game was over.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely was. For sure. I mean, the resiliency was absolutely amazing. I mean, our team, we just kept fighting each and every play, no matter the adversity that came, the fourth downs or the penalties or whatever, our guys, we never looked at the scoreboard or never looked at anything. We just, got the call in and they executed it perfect. I mean, they couldn't have executed it any more perfect than they did. And I think that shows a lot about our team and shows a lot about, this program and the coaching staff and just how they've trained us and embedded everything in our minds to, help us believe that, we can win and overcome any situation that we face throughout the game.
Kind of a similar question just for Coach to have him back. I mean, it's going to feel good. You're doing your thing with Coach McPeak, but Saturday to have Coach Wells back, what's it going to be like, just having him on the sidelines leading you guys out of the tunnel?
Well, it's awesome to have Coach back because, of course, we missed him, but we're going to approach it the same as we did the last 2 weeks. And with or without him, the program has to keep rolling. The culture has to keep rolling. But, of course, we'd rather have him. So we're glad to have him back. I'm glad to have him back. And I'm glad he's healthy. I look forward to it.
Chase, congratulations on the honor after the game. But as far as your position and really the whole team, in terms of resiliency, how do you, just keep pushing? I mean, 7 overtimes, I just talked with Patrick about, it's a long game. There's a lot, that's going on, scoring back and forth. How do you, stay engaged and just keep yourself in it? And not only that, but, just keep yourself energized because, eventually, guys start cramping up.
Well, in that situation, I look at it as a so what, now what? They scored. We got to stop them again. And on the sideline, we just kept saying one more play, one more time. And it happened to be 7 times, but at the end of the day, we got it done.
Chase, you look at this defense. I mean, there are a lot of names that could win this award each and every single week. As you guys move forward, now first home game, how do you think you guys can take that and really improve on what you've seen the first 2 weeks of the season?
Well, I mean, just as a defense, we need, I guess, like from our first week to the second week, I feel that we grew a lot as in communication and just being one. I know I did myself. I feel a lot more comfortable getting rid of first game jitters, but I just think we need to keep working hard and focus on this week, move on and beat Charleston Southern.
I think it's fitting you win in 7 overtimes the same week your coach comes back after going through what he went through. I think probably one hand washes the other when you look at that situation with coach coming back and you do what you do in 7.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You know, I mean, we pulled through for coach, so it's an amazing situation. I was glad to be there. It was a fun game, and I'm glad we came out on top of that war.
Chase, coach was saying, you guys are even a little disappointed on the start. You wanted to go 2-0, obviously. But to go 1-1 against FBS teams is big time. So I guess what are you guys doing well as a football team here to start the year? And, what kind of show are you guys going to give the fans at the Kid this weekend?
Well, I mean, to begin, FBS or FCS, it shouldn't matter. As a defense, we can play ball, and I think we should go out and, be able to stop and compete with anybody. But that, of course, comes with we need to continue to grow. And this week, I'm going to play lights out. I expect the players around me to play lights out, and that's about it.